Welcome to the Coach Jonny Mac Show. It's me, as always, your host, Jonny Mac. What I have here, I have a great special night tonight, and we're gonna talk about spring hockey, specifically in Quebec and Montreal. We're gonna talk about the famous Montreal Meltdown. We're gonna talk about Team Quebec prospects. We're gonna talk about Team Montreal Canadiens Brick, which I have some guests on tonight that have been part of it in the past, and some of that are going to the Brick for the first time this year. So real happy to have these guys on. I'm going to introduce kind of the big cheese with Montreal hockey, if you will. Dave Harroch. So Dave is the president of the Montreal Meltdown, amongst other things. Tell me a little bit about what you do, Dave, and your program.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Hi, guys. These are my boys. Our program, well, we started with the Montreal Meltdown. This year we celebrated our 30th anniversary. We host close to 300 teams a year at the Meltdown. And this is our bread and butter of the organization. From there, we derived the Brick about 6 years ago. The Brick Invitational called me up and offered me to take over the Quebec franchise. So we started running that program, and it's been absolutely amazing. We've met so many great people, great kids, lots of talent. And from there, over the years, we started developing what we call now Team Quebec prospects. So we try and prepare the kids for what they're going into, but at the same time, we're teaching them the game of hockey. And that's the most important part. Unfortunately, not every kid that we have in our prospects ends up on the Brick team, but somewhere along the line, they've learned the good way of playing hockey.
Great. Yeah, no, you know what? And we'll get into a little bit later. And, I was fortunate to have my son play in your program this spring, and I'll kind of give you a parent or an ex-coach feedback here in a little while when we get talking about that. But first of all, our special guests here, I want to introduce these guys. So, Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about Aiden Kirkwood, who we have, and thanks for coming out, Aiden.
Aiden is one of our original players. He came on board the first year that we've had the Brick concession. Aiden is a great two-way player, energy guy, leader, the kind of guy that you want to put the C on his jersey. Great kid, good family. Great hopes for him. And also Aiden has a record for the most rings at the Montreal Meltdown. I think he's got 13 of them.
Oh, wow. He's in like Henri Richard territory, isn't he?
I think he's more than Henri Richard.
So I think maybe I'll have to talk to my old adversary. I grew up playing against a guy out here named Cam Russell, who's the GM of the Halifax Mooseheads. So I'll have to talk to him before the draft next year. Make sure you get out here. All right. How would you like to play in Halifax? Would that be all right?
I mean, it's a great organization, and actually a funny story at my school. There's actually a scout for Halifax that's works at my school. So.
Oh, there you go. So he knows your character as well as how good you are. So That could happen here, right? Could happen.
Hope so.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Now we've got Peter Broccolini. Tell us a little bit about Peter, Dave.
Well, Peter is one of those special kids that played 2 years at the Brick. He's a 2012 birth year, played with our 11s and with our 12s. Peter's biggest asset is his speed. Very quick, very smart player, devoted, great in the room, a real teammate, the kind of guy you want to have as a teammate.
I watched Peter. Peter, I watched you play against with your Lions team, and you guys played a team. It was the purple team from Halifax, and both of you guys needed to win to qualify, and you stick handled in a phone booth and went short side for I think the 5th goal and a 5-0 win. You remember that goal? Yeah, that was a beauty. I watched. I was like, whoa, that kid's got hands. So good job. Welcome. Thank you. And I know your brother too, because your brother played with my son all spring. So welcome and thanks for being on today, pal. Any wise words for us?
Well, I'm very happy and excited to be on this podcast, and it's very honoring. And yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you, man. Honestly, I'm just here enjoying, rubbing shoulders with the greats and the up and coming players in the system. So welcome. Now, the last two guys we have, they're in the same window together, and I talked to them briefly, Dave, before you joined. So I think they were a little shocked that I knew so much. I said, you were the two guys that teamed up, and they went 2-on-2 overtime in Toronto. And I leaned over to my son. We were watching the game, and I said to my son, I said, it's over. When I saw those two young men step over the boards, I said to Jack, it's over. Watch this. And we're going to get them to talk us through that goal. But I want Dave, you to tell us a couple of words about the two young men.
Well, both of them also played last year at the break at the 2012 age group. Quincy actually made the All-Star team at the 2012 age group in Edmonton. Liam had a great tournament. Both of them have shown such great leadership to the new kids coming up this year, the whole team, that we, for the first time, gave a C, and we couldn't say one or the other. So Liam will wear the C on the red jersey, and Quincy will wear the C on the white jersey. They show amazing leadership. Liam is a highly skilled forward that reads the game well and understands the game well. Quincy, one of those defensemen that could go end to end whenever he feels like it. Sometimes a little too much, Quincy, but he can go end to end at will.
Yeah, well, that's, as a coach, when you have that kind of 1-2 punch, I always say you got to have a stud on the back end and you got to have a stud on the front end if you want to win anything. And obviously you got to surround yourself with good players. And I watched your team. I think you're right where you need to be. I really liked the compete level in Montreal last week playing 12s. And, I think there's going to be a lot of good things. I can't wait. I was planning to go out to Edmonton, but some stuff's come up and I'm not going to make it this year. But we'll be watching all the games on the internet for sure. So welcome, guys. You got any words for us before we get into it?
Quincy, Liam?
No.
No, you let your stick and skates do the talking? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell. All right, good. So I wanted to get in. I have a little bit of an agenda here, Dave, and I want to lead into sort of the concept of spring hockey. And, as you know, I've been in development for upwards of 40 years. And I can remember when spring hockey first started, I was coaching. And I was, it was mid 90s, early 90s, right? That's kind of when things started to happen. I had retired in 94 from playing. So at that point, I was, kind of around the sport in a pretty prominent manner in the youth circles. And I'm not going to lie to you. I used to tell people not to do it. I would tell people, the parents of my students would come and they'd say, hey, a spring team asked my son to play. And I always, at that point, would say, you know what, we didn't have spring hockey when we were growing up. And I said, I think it's healthy to play baseball or soccer or golf or lacrosse or something else and kind of get away from the rink a little bit. My focus has shifted. I still believe that kids need to be multi-sport athletes. I still maintain that. But I think, and I'm not going to sit here and bash Hockey Canada and Hockey USA, but I think they have facilitated the need for private hockey. I think some of the development rules that they've gone to aren't conducive to developing kids the right way. The half ice stuff, and I get it for some kids, but we've got U9s that shouldn't be playing half ice. They should be playing full ice and learning how to play their position and what offsides are and things like that. So. My focus has shifted and my thoughts on it. Tell me a little bit about, how you got into the spring hockey and obviously have been in it now for 30 years, right?
Well, spring hockey for 30 years. This is my 49th year doing minor hockey.
Wow.
So I used to coach. I tell people that I coached when Denis Savard played midget hockey. I coached against him.
Wow.
So that's aging me this time.
Yeah.
But And my boys, I had my two boys, and they loved the game of hockey. They were talented. And one day I got a phone call, somebody asking me if they would be interested, my oldest son at the time, Mark, if he would be interested in playing spring hockey. Things developed from there. They asked me to get involved. The following year, they asked me to do a tournament. And the rest is almost history on that.
Yeah. And you've seen it evolve to a point where, I think in the beginning it was kind of the elite. It was just the elite. Now you're getting different tiers, right? You're getting people that understand that for development. I know, for example, out here in Atlantic, we have 3 levels of spring hockey. You've got tier 1, tier 2, and really they call it a prospect series, but it's for the recreational player. It's the ability to play 10 games and do a tournament in the spring. When he certainly for the U9 group that had to play half ice jamborees where they don't even keep score, right? So, but that's I mean, it's its own world right now. It really is. It's taken a life of its own, and there's a dark side to it too. Let's face it. There's a lot of people that I would say aren't in it for the right reasons. There's so you got adults bickering about a kid's sport and saying things to recruit away. Tell me a little bit about your experience with that and how you deal with it, because when you're a big high profile program like you have, and along with the Meltdown, I'm sure that you could tell us stories upon stories about poaching and this and that and bad talks. And tell me a little bit about that.
You were saying, John, before that you were against spring hockey when it all started. It did get better, but I think we're going the other way now again. As much as I've been in it and I believe in it and I think it's great for these kids, and they could probably vouch, each one of them, for that. Parents I'm looking more at the very young kids. They do like 8 tournaments in 2 months.
Yeah.
It's totally crazy. They don't realize how they're treating their kids. And I keep telling them, after every game, the normal reaction of a parent is to talk to their kid. You should have done this. You didn't do that. You did this well. So imagine every single weekend, 4 or 5 games, you're repeating this to the kid. At some point, his ears are not gonna be there anymore.
Yeah,
I've seen parents who run from one rink to another doing tournaments. I get calls at the Meltdown. Can you change my schedule because I have a player that can't be there? He's playing in another tournament on the other side of the city. Yeah. It's gotten to be crazy. But the worst thing, even worse than that, is those what I call the used car salesmen.
Yeah.
You've got these guys who will come out and try and grab like we have a program where we work with the elite and we make sure that they compete in tournaments. Like anybody else, we hope we win. We want to win. We'd love to win. But our main goal is to make these kids compete, play a full game of hockey, and use that clock in every which way. We've got people who just want to win. And they grab these kids, and if they convince some of these parents, come with us, you'll see we're going to win every tournament. And promises never come through true. I mean, the best advice I can give a parent is do some research before saying yes or no to anybody, even to us. Do some research. Talk to people who've been in the program before. Find out what they do well. I think spring hockey should be used as a development tool to teach the game of hockey. Skills. Kids have these 4 kids here that are online have amazing skills. The big thing is to teach them how to play the game well, how to run that clock, how to understand where you are in the game and how to get out of it and into it. That kind of stuff, the leadership. So like I say, please be careful with these used car salesmen.
Yeah, and I can relate and it's, just from our, to get back into our experience here with you guys this spring, we didn't win any of the tournaments. We competed. The kids, got better from point A to point B. But what I liked about it the most, and of course, because I've been involved so long, I'm not one of the dads that's telling him anything, right? If he asks me something, I'll give him my opinion. But I'll say, talk to your coach. I walk into the dressing room after the game, whether he played real well or awful, and I say, "Did you have fun? Yeah. Did you work your hardest? Yeah." I said, "Well, then I'm proud of you." Right. And then if he wants to ask me about a shift or something maybe that he thought he did wrong or right, absolutely. That's, I'm there for that. But I've seen too much of it. I don't like the pressure that's put on some of these kids. And I think you guys are doing it the right way. They were held accountable. Like my son has never been kind of addressed in a no, and trust me, it was well within good taste, but I loved it. And I said something to the coach after the game. I said, "Hey, you know what?" Because Jack said to me, my son said, "Oh, the coach yelled at me." And I said, "Well, I would have yelled at you too." And you threw the puck up the middle and the guy came in and scored. I said, "Play better." Right. But you're teaching them that. And everybody's so coddled these days. They're not getting that in a lot of programs because the coaches are too scared. Let's face it. The coaches are scared that a parent's going to come in and end up canceling them, right? And I'm going to ask the four of you and give me not a specific example, but when you do something wrong, and whether it's at school or it's at home, and your parents are giving you some discipline, or a hockey coach, right? It may feel like pretty crappy when it's happening, but you always learn from it. Am I right? Let's start with you, Aiden. What do you think?
Well, most of the time it's my parents don't usually get on me for my hockey. Of course, schooling they're always like, you got to bring up your marks, or you got to work on your homework. But it's mostly bad choices that I make in life sometimes. They really want to emphasize on being a good person before anything. But when it comes to hockey, my parents are really, they're really, not that strict, except for when I play a really bad game and I just don't, give it my all there.
Yep.
But other than that, they're open-minded, and they're always encouraging me and always making sure I do my best.
Oh, that's great. And it's not a coincidence that you're excelling in the sport. Probably doing real well in school as well. Right?
I hope so. I just finished my final exam, so hope they come in good. Thank you.
Awesome. How about you, Pete? What do you think?
Yeah, like you said, you learn. At least you're learning from something. But sometimes you don't learn because you're not telling the truth. At one point, you're gonna know that the truth is that it's not really the truth. But when you get information that your trainer maybe had gave you, it's the truth. But sometimes it's not.
Yeah, and you don't want it. Sometimes it's hard to hear the truth, but you have to trust in the process, and trust that coaches or teachers or parents or any person that's in an authority position is going to give you the right advice, right? And you learn from it, and you got to learn not to take it personal. Dave and I can certainly tell you stories about even when I was playing, and before that, Dave could tell you, some of the way players were treated by coaches was horrendous, and some of the things that were said. But we're in a safe sport now. I truly believe that the sport in general is trending in the right direction. It's inclusive. We've got rid of a lot of the racism and the sexism and the misogynistic behavior that's been sort of haunting our sport for 50, 60 years. So I'm really happy that finally we're trending in the right direction. So how about you guys? How does it feel when you get I wouldn't say yelled at, but let's say addressed for any bad player behavior? Do you learn from it?
Wait, I didn't I didn't hear that question. Yeah.
You want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So when your coach or your mom or your dad or even a teacher at school kind of gets you a little bit of trouble and kind of says, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?" and corrects your behavior, how does that make you feel? Do you learn from it? Do you listen?
learn from it, and I'm trying to not do the same mistake over and over again. So just I learn from it, and
Awesome. What about you, Quincy?
Yeah, you just try to not do that mistake again, and you just listen. Yeah.
100%. And you know what? The way to improve is by making mistakes. I've always, coached with that philosophy. If I don't want a team that's afraid to be creative and afraid to do things because they don't want to get in trouble. I just want them to understand that there's a structure that we need to execute in order to be successful. But I don't like killing the creativity of the game. But when you go coast to coast, Quincy, and you turn the puck over, who's going to be the first one back?
Me.
You got it, right?
And the more you do mistakes, the more you learn. Yeah.
Absolutely, pal. Absolutely. So I want to talk, Dave, about the prospects. So the prospects themselves, so that would be this year would be the 14, 15, 16. Is that accurate?
Well, it's 14 and 15. We only do 2 years prior to the break.
Okay. 14, 15. Okay. So how did you get into a position where you felt that was something that you needed to do to feed your brick team, for lack of a better?
Well, at the beginning of going to the break team, we actually had good records the first couple of years, but we weren't. As a team, players were not developing well. We saw too many kids understanding the game. It's mainly the understanding the game. So what we started is a winter league. COVID stopped us with the 2000. Peter was there, Liam, Quincy, with the 2012s, and we stopped because of COVID. So then, we still needed to get these kids ready. We wanted to also get to know the kids to make sure we pick the right ones. And that's also important. So our coaches our prospect teams are coached by our coaches at the break, as you saw, John.
Yep.
And so the process, we get to know the kids, we get to know the parents, we get to know, and we get to work with them. We get to know where our flaws will be in 2 years. I can tell you our 2014s, what our flaws will be, what our 2015s, what our flaws will be, because we know the kids throughout the province, and we scout everywhere. I mean, you're in Halifax and you're with us, so you know that we don't have borders.
Right.
Obviously, the break rules have to be respected, and we will always respect that. So we do 2 years before, we groom them, we expose them to the best competition possible. We go to Toronto twice, we do the Meltdown twice, a year older, one of the years. We make sure that they're always competing, and that's the most important part. Going to the break, these boys will tell you every game is tight. There is no easy game. Everybody can beat everybody. So that being said, we need our kids to be ready for that. Going to we can make one team of prospects and beat everybody and win tournaments. Nobody's going to learn anything.
Right.
We need to play tight games. We need to have a close score to know how the kid is going to react, how the goalie's going to play, how the defenseman's going to do, etc. And that's the reason of the prospects, and that's why we build the prospect. I think it's going amazing. It's great.
Yeah, I can attest as just from an outsider. It was a fantastic experience for my son. He made some great friends. He got better as a player. He got better as a kid. He matured. I'm a big body language guy, right? And one of the biggest issues I had with my son, and I think I told you this before we even committed to come, is he's very, very difficult at hiding his emotions, right? So you can tell when he's not in a mood or something's happening. He's a very physical defenseman, and he'll run a kid over, and that's fine. That happens. But I don't like the slump down on the bench and the head going and that kind of stuff. So I've been working with him on that, but I saw just a tremendous improvement, you're playing with the best players, right? So you got kids from all that are top dogs on all their teams, and all of a sudden they're together, right? Somebody's going to be on the bench at the end of the game that isn't used to being on the bench at the end of the game. And my advice, and that happened to my son in one of the tournaments, and he, that was one of the things he asked me. He says, "Did you notice I didn't play for the last 5 minutes?" And I go, "Yeah, absolutely I did." And he said, "Well, what do you think of that?" And I said, "Well, it's not my call. It's your coach's call. But I can assure you, if your coach thought you could help them win that hockey game or tie it or whatever it is, you'd be out there. So you got to do something in the game to give your coach the confidence to put you on at the end. And if you're not on, it's on you. It's nothing that I can do about it. That's what you can do about it. So
that's great.
You learned that lesson at 9 years old, and that's invaluable. That's life, right? That's life.
I wish every parent thought that way.
Yeah. You want something? Go get it. It's up to you.
Yeah.
This is a business of being the best, and you better be the best or you're not going to be out there.
Well, I can tell you, John, these four gentlemen that are on with us are taught that way.
Yeah.
They have great parents who put them in the right direction.
Yeah, and that's our job, right? We want to give our kids, opportunities. We want to give, we want our kids to be the best. And I just, from talking to these young men here for a little while, I can tell that they appreciate their parents. And I think that's important sometimes. And I always say, when I finish up one of my clinics, a group clinic on the ice, I always tell the kids at the end of it, "Hey, you know what? Thank your folks. Because I can promise you there's hundreds of thousands of kids that play this sport all over the world that don't get the opportunity. And, the parents paid $500 to come to an 8-week power skating class. So they're working hard. They're doing things and sacrificing these things for you guys to have that opportunity or opportunities. And if you can, every now and then say, "Hey, mom and dad, I really appreciate this." It goes a long way. It really does. Good. So let me see what else I got here. I'm producing my own here. So I produce my own now. I used to have somebody in the background doing all this, but I'm getting a little technologically sound. So let's talk about the brick itself. I want to talk about first with you, Aiden. Now, I just sum it up in maybe a minute. Your experience at that tournament. So we know about leading up, and you guys played some levels up and things like that. The way the local teams are doing it now. But I want to know, like, you step off the plane in Edmonton. Tell me what happened. How did that grasp you?
Well, of course, right when we stepped off the plane, it was different. We jumped on a bus and we headed down to our hotel, which was in the mall. And it was one of the weirdest / funnest hotel I've ever been to. Each floor was a different hotel theme. We were on this cowboy kind of theme, and some of my friends had hot tubs in their rooms. So it was really incredible. But I think the best part was, of course, just playing on the ice with a bunch of random people you don't know, just walking around and watching you guys play. And your parents, your siblings there watching you, playing with your teammates, your friends.
Yeah.
And it was really a great experience. And I think for myself, the best tournament I've been to in my life. I've gone to many tournaments, and other than the Montreal Meltdown, of course, that's up there. But the brick was really incredible for me. And it's a hard thing to forget. And really brings back a lot of memories just hearing about this and talking about this. So.
Yeah, and you know what? I appreciate your candor there, and kind of putting it out there, how special this is. You're playing the best of the best, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a good player at the age group of the brick, you're a good 10-year-old player in North America. You're playing on a brick team because they're going to find you, right? Yeah. So you're playing the best of the best, and although the results are important, like anything. It's like Dave said, it's that experience and going. Anybody can beat anybody, right? You got to, somebody asked me on one of my podcasts here a while back going into the playoffs. It said, how many, what teams have a legitimate crack at winning the Stanley Cup this year? And I said, 16. There's 16 teams that are getting in, right? And somebody's got to be healthy. They got to get some breaks. They got to get a call when they need it, or a missed call when they need it, right? And you got to have a hot goalie when he needs to be hot. And any one of those 16 teams, Florida snuck in on the last day. They went right to the Cup final, right?
Yeah.
It's so you two up there in the top, lead your teammates and go out there and say, hey guys, we have an opportunity here. We're at the brick. That's massive. And that's huge. And, you can go 0-9 and you still went to the brick. But if you're going all the way out there and you got the talent that you have and the coaching and the infrastructure around you, go out there and lead your guys. Say, hey, guys, let's dig deep. Let's go here and win this. I don't want to come out here and do anything but win. And there's C's on your jersey for a reason. Right? So that's awesome. Is Peter back? I don't see Peter.
No.
Yeah.
You there, Pete? How are you?
Yeah. How are you?
We don't see you, Peter.
No.
John,
Is your camera working?
Yeah. Well, I see everybody.
I'm going to move on to the boys up top. What's going through your mind right now? You're a week away. A week from tomorrow morning, you're getting on a plane. You're going out there. You just heard Aiden talk about how special it was. Tell me how you feel. Start with you, Quincy.
it feels good. When you get there, you just have this feeling. The first year you were stressed, and the crowd and all that.
Now you're going to go in there and you're going to be able to talk from experience, and you're going to be able to tell the rest of your teammates, hey, you know what? It's a hockey game. At the end of the day, take all the bells and whistles away from you, right? You guys are going there because you're hockey players and real good ones. So if you can go in there and lead your guys into, and not to take anything away from how special the experience is going to be, but if you can go in there and say, hey guys, it's a hockey game. We've won 1,000 of these things. Let's go out every night and be prepared. That's awesome.
And we win as a team and we lose as a team.
Absolutely. And what about you? What are you thinking? What are you going to bring from last year to the team this year?
When you get out of the plane, I think it's the best feeling ever. And the first thing you want to do at the hotel is run to the rink. It's maybe the best feeling you can have in your life, and it is like the most beautiful ice. But the ice is not very good. But the ceiling is awesome when you look at the ice. I think every win, it's like if you just win a tournament, it's an awesome experience to go to the break.
Absolutely. And how many other teams, Dave? Do you know the breakdown? How many other teams have two guys coming back?
The only team I believe that has a player coming back is Minnesota. They had a defenseman that was pretty good last year.
I think there might be one in Saskatchewan as well. I think there was a 13 on the team last year.
I believe maybe Pennsylvania has one also. I don't think he's going to have two.
Hackett.
One thing, John, when we get to Edmonton that we show the kids, and it's really the coolest thing, is there's a wall leading to the dressing rooms, and it's got a name of every single player that ever played at the Brick. And they highlight in red the guys that are in the NHL, and there's so many big names that went through there. Like, I wouldn't even dare to start attempting naming you guys because I'll miss 3/4 of them. But all the
I've seen them. And I've interviewed guys, and I've spoken with guys that have played in the tournament over the last 20 years or so, and everybody talks about it and lights up the way that you three are, and Peter. It's just outstanding. So I'm excited for you. There's my son here. Hey, Jack, you want to come in and say hi to the guys? Huh? No? Okay, he's shy.
John,
Being
did we
shy.
lose Peter? Did we lose Peter? I don't see him on the nobody. Do you guys see him on the screen?
I see him on the screen, but I don't. His mute.
Yeah, we can't see him. We can see him, but we don't see a.
Yeah.
Just see a black space.
Yeah, he might come back. I think they were at the rink, and that's fine. We'll talk to.
Wait, hold. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're a lot of echo, though, bud.
Pardon?
There's a lot of echo.
Oh.
Peter,
Yes.
why don't you log out and log back in?
When? Where?
Now, just shut it down and come back. Come right back.
Okay.
Maybe that will work.
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback. Do you guys hear it as well?
I wonder if it's the dressing room. If it's not just the dressing room,
Come say hi. Dave, you know this guy.
I've seen him before.
Yeah,
How you doing, Jack?
Say hi.
Hi.
Hey, Jack,
Hi.
remember those two guys? Do you remember when the brick team went from 4-on-4 to 2-on-2? Those are the two guys. And what did I tell you? I said, it's over. It's done. And what was it, about 15 seconds in? Something like that?
Yeah, I think 30.
Yeah. You regrouped twice, and, it was awesome. So you want to wish the guys the best of luck at the brick because they're going next Friday.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, good night. We're an hour ahead here. It's bedtime. You got school tomorrow. Get out of here.
Still in school, you guys?
Yeah, we've got another. I think he's done Wednesday. He's done Wednesday. Gets his report card on Friday.
You guys are finished, right? All you guys?
Yeah.
Aiden, Liam, Quincy.
Awesome.
Yeah, I saw Liam's Instagram sleeping. Hey, Liam,
There's Peter.
he's in.
Peter.
Hey, Peter.
Yeah.
There he
Oh,
is.
we can see you.
Maybe we can ask him about his experience at the brick.
Tell me about your experience the first year at the brick and then the second year. How that changed.
Well, the brick is very truly exceptional from beginning to end. The tournament looks professional, and there's 14 great hockey teams from Canada and the U.S. Lots of good hockey games. As Dave said, there's a wall. Like, seeing your name on the wall is very like honorable. And I also got to participate in the All-Star game, and that was like meeting random people. It was very unique. Also, at the end of the tournament, you see like a jersey exchange at the end. Yeah, you get to know a lot of people from like their personality. And yeah, I'd love to go back also. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. You know what? And that's tremendous. So I got a question for some of you guys that went twice. Does your name go on the wall twice, Dave?
Yeah.
I believe so. Does it, Peter?
Mine came on the wall. Yeah, mine was on the wall twice.
Awesome.
I think
Well,
it goes
that's
by
pretty
year,
special.
John. That's why.
Yeah, that's pretty special. And, thanks for sharing that with us, Peter. All right. So give me some alumni of the program and what they're doing now, from the brick.
From our brick, our team?
Yeah.
Well, we took over with the 2008 age group.
Oh, so it's
Which is
right here. So we've got the cream of the crop right here. Okay.
They're starting to come up. I mean, listen, we've had some great players. Next year will be the first time they start getting drafted into major junior.
Yeah.
Some of them are looking into prep schools, and we're actually helping them, trying to find some prep schools. I know Aiden's mom called me, talked to me about a school that was approaching them. So they call us for advice, and we'll always be there for these guys. That's one thing. We're always there for you guys.